Most of us think God teaches us through sermons, through Bible studies, through devotionals, through podcasts. And he does. But if you read scripture carefully, you'll discover something interesting. God often teaches the lesson first, then sends the test later. The test isn't where the lesson begins. The test is where the lesson is revealed. Because there is a story beneath the story. Welcome back to Highlighting the Way, Story Beneath the Story. We're in Matthew chapter 14, and the disciples find themselves in a storm, waves crashing, wind howling, the boat rocking. Their fear was rising. And suddenly Jesus comes walking across the water. Now that's usually where we focus. The miracle, the water, Peter walking, Peter sinking. But there's another story underneath that story. Because before the storm, there were thousands of people sitting on a hillside. Jesus had just fed over 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. The disciples watched him multiply what wasn't enough into more than enough. They literally had baskets of leftovers in their hands. Think about that. Hours earlier, they had witnessed a miracle of provision. Then a storm showed up. The storm was the pop quiz. The feeding was the lesson. You see, the storm asked, do you believe what you just saw? Because faith isn't proven while you're holding the basket, but faith is proven when you're holding on to the boat. How often does God do that in our lives? He teaches us that he's faithful, then the bill arrives. He teaches us that he is our provider, then work slows down. He teaches us that he's our peace, and a crisis appears. He teaches us that he is in control, then life feels out of control. You see, the storm wasn't random. The storm was asking a question. Did the lesson take root? Because a lesson learned in comfort must eventually survive the discomfort. Deuteronomy 8:2 says, and you shall remember the whole way that the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, that he might humble you, testing you to know what was in your heart. Notice something. The test wasn't for God's information. God already knew. The test was revelation. The pressure revealed what was already there. Just like the fire reveals the purity of gold, just like the weight reveals the strength of muscle, just like the storm reveals the strength of a foundation, trials reveal what sermons alone cannot. Maybe you're in a storm right now. Maybe you're facing something difficult. Maybe you're wondering why God allowed it. Can I offer you another possibility? What if this isn't punishment? What if it's a pop quiz? What if God is bringing back a lesson he's already been teaching you? And the question is, how do I get out of this? The question is, what am I supposed to learn from this? Because every test carries a lesson. Every pressure carries a revelation. Every storm asks a question. And if you listen closely, you might discover that the storm isn't the story. The lesson is. The story is about a storm. But the story beneath the story is about trust. The story is about waves. The story beneath the story is about faith. The story is about a boat. The story beneath the story is a question God still asks his people today. Did you learn what I was teaching before the wind started blowing? Because sometimes the obstacle isn't blocking your progress, it's revealing your progress. And that's the story beneath the story. Keep highlighting the way.